Now, developing news from KXAN News.
I'm Robert Hadlock. Leslie has the night off. College Station rocked by a tragic shooting this afternoon. Brazos County Constable Brian Bachman was shot to death while serving an eviction notice. In all, 5 people were shot. 3 are dead, including Constable Bachman, a 65-year-old bystander, and the suspect. A College Station police officer was also shot in the leg, along with a 55-year-old woman. They are recovering at hospitals in College Station. 2 College Station police officers were also injured. We start our team coverage with our Chris Sadeghi live with the latest information from investigators in College Station. Chris?
Well, Robert, we did get an update on the condition of those that were injured in this shooting. We will get to that in just a second. But first, all of this, as you mentioned, stemmed from an eviction. Constable Brian Bachman was going to the home to serve that eviction notice when the shots were fired. When other officers showed up, Bachman was lying in the front yard of the home, and neighbors say bullets were buzzing all over in a shooting that lasted about 30 minutes. At the scene, shells are lying all over 2 different streets. The perimeter for this crime scene is a very wide one. In fact, they say there were 4 separate scenes close together. We could see a wrecked SUV with a shattered window. Officers were able to shoot the suspect, who is in his 30s, during the gunfire exchange, and by the time the bullets stopped flying, a total of 3 people were dead: the constable, the gunman, and another bystander. Other officers and civilians were injured, and a neighbor who lived a whole block away says the gunfire was so widespread he felt them from his bedroom.
Then I heard, sirens start going off, so it kind of got me thinking, Then I heard 2 bullets go, whiz right by my room, and my bed's, right against the window, so I kind of just threw myself out of bed. I probably should get away from my window. I think that's gunshots.
And another neighbor told me that he heard the gunshots, and there were more of them than he could count, and it sounded like they were coming from pistols, shotguns, rifles, basically a shootout that stretched across this entire neighborhood. We're live in College Station. Chris Sadeghi, KXAN News.
5 of the victims were brought here to College Station Medical Center. 2 of the officers have now been discharged. The shooter, we're told, died here, and so did Brazos County Constable Brian Bachman. Right now, though, we know that 1 College Station police officer is still here. He is in stable condition after he was shot in the leg. I want to show you, though, many in the law enforcement community have gathered here to rally for their own, but they are also grieving terribly. Constable Bachman was well known and well loved in this community, an 18-year veteran of the sheriff's office before he was elected constable and took that post in January of last year. He leaves behind a wife, Donna, and their 2 children, 14-year-old Colby and 9-year-old Caitlin. Perhaps one of his best friends was Brazos County Sheriff Chris Kirk, who says he is stunned this happened to such a good man.
I don't know anything about the investigation at this point, other than the fact that Brian went to do his job and he was gunned down for doing that. It's a tragic, tragic situation, and we're just devastated.
Back live here at College Station Medical Center, where, as we mentioned, there is still 1 officer here, a College Station police officer in stable condition with that gunshot to the leg. At another hospital here in town, a 55-year-old woman who was also shot, we have just learned, is now out of surgery. She is in critical condition, though. There are several prayer services expected to take place here in town tonight, where the public is being invited to mourn the victims and also, we're sure, pray for some healing for this community. We are live in College Station tonight. Shannon Wolfson, KXAN News.
Looking in depth now, it's been almost 2 years since a gunman opened fire on the UT campus, sparking fear with students, staff, and employees. 1 person died that day, but the memory of that event fresh in the mind of Police Chief Robert Dahlstrom, who has been watching today's events at College Station very closely. He says tens of thousands of emails and text alerts can go out in an instant. The idea is to alert as many people as possible of dangerous situations going on near the campus at any time.
We have multiple ways of sending out. We would set the siren off in a situation like this. We would send out our text messages, email messages, pager messages, Facebook and Twitter.
UTPD Chief Dahlstrom says his department is in constant communication with the Austin Police Department year-round, so they're both fully prepared to handle any situation that may come up on the 40 acres. Texas A&M has a similar emergency alert system called Code Maroon. KXAN's Aaron Cargile is live in the studio with an in-depth look at the messages that went out today, and she spoke to locals who were following them.
That's right, Robert. Several messages were sent out via text message, email, and social media during the situation today, telling people to avoid the area where the shooting happened. Another message let them know when the shooter was arrested, and the final message today was from the university's president, calling it a sad day in the Bryan College Station community. Aggie father Les Stobart was following those messages online this afternoon. He lives here in Austin. His 18-year-old son, Colin, will be a freshman this year. They'll be moving him into his dorm next weekend. Les was already experiencing the normal nerves any parent has when a child leaves home and heads to college for the first time. Despite today's shooting, he still believes his son is in a safe place, but he will make sure his son knows about Code Maroon and signs up for those alerts.
The additional words of wisdom that I'll try to impart to Colin when he leaves is, hey, if something like that happens, then pay attention to it. Kind of know your surroundings, kind of understand what the message says. If it's, if it's speaking of a certain geographic area or a particular building on campus, or whatever it may be, then heed it and pay attention and be on your toes and do what you can do to stay safe.
And I spoke to another Austin father this afternoon whose son will be a junior this year and is already down in College Station right now because he's in the Corps. They were practicing today, and while eating lunch outside on campus, they heard the gunshots and they were told to stay put. Live in the studio, Aaron Cargile, KXAN News.